You are listening to Unified Through Chronic and Mental Illness with your hosts, Angie Roberts and Kimberly Murphy. Please be advised that some of the topics of this podcast can be triggering and sensitive in nature.
Welcome to Roundtable Unified, a special episode where we talk about real issues with women diagnosed with mental or chronic illness. Today, we will be talking to Kathy, who has diabetes, Anne with Addison's disease, Amber, who has autism, and Beth with bipolar 2 disorder. So, what is the hardest part about living with your illness?
Well, first I'd like to introduce myself. Hi to everyone. I'm Anne. I do suffer from several illnesses. One is adrenal insufficiency, also known as Addison's disease. For me, living day to day is unpredictable as well, because sometimes something can make me nauseated. I have to take my medicine or increase my dosage. As a result, I get reflux. It's just not pleasant.
What type of medication do you take for your disease?
I have to take steroids. I take 2 of them. One is prednisone, which you might be aware of. The other one is a mineral corticoid. I lose salt, and that's Florinef. Should I undergo stress, illness, surgery, like one I had today, I have to increase my dose. If I'm vomiting, I'm straight to the emergency room because I can go into a crisis. So they have to give me IV steroids.
And when you say crisis, you're talking about an adrenal crisis, right?
Correct. My blood pressure can drop. My heart can go rapid. There are many, many symptoms. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but President Kennedy had this illness. It's very rare.
Oh, I didn't know that, actually.
Yes. The one illness is that people do not understand exactly what the illness is. They never heard of it. I go to a doctor, they never heard of it. I go to an emergency room, they've never heard of the disease.
I picked my autism as my hardest one to deal with
Okay.
because of my difficulty communicating with other people. I tend to say things the wrong way or at the wrong time, not meaning to. And sometimes a lot of times it tends to offend people or pee them off, and they take it the wrong way. And I never mean any harm. It's just for some freaking reason with autism that comes with the territory, but it never understood that way, and I'm always the bad guy.
Oh, I can understand that. My youngest also has autism, so I imagine you're high functioning autism. What were you diagnosed with exactly?
Originally it was Asperger's.
Gotcha. Okay, that's what I thought. That's why I was asking. Because that's usually part of the issue is communication, right? So do you have an issue when it's face to face more so? How are you doing with like COVID and everybody not being able to see body cues and stuff? Is that harder for you?
Actually, it's weird. I'm more of an introvert, so actually other than being pinned in the house 24/7 with my 2 teenagers, other than that fact, it's actually almost been a blessing for me because I like being around people at times, but I don't most of the time. Especially big crowds of people. I just do not like. I'm not a huge people person. I'm more of an animal person. I like kitties and doggies better than people most of the time.
Gotcha there too, yeah. Okay, so what is you have diabetes, right?
I have diabetes.
Okay, so what is the hardest part about living with diabetes?
For me, it's neuropathy, managing diet, and managing weight.
Yeah.
I have a really, really hard time with the proper diet. I know it. I've taught it. I've talked to people about it for years, and I have a real trouble sticking to it.
Mm-hmm. It's hard.
It's very hard. I really like carbs.
Who doesn't? I know you and I have this running joke about chocolate cake, so
Yeah.
you know that I have a hard time with carbs too.
Well, my sister got a diet from her husband's doctor that's for cardiac or cholesterol or diabetic, and it says no yellow vegetables, no corn, no carrots, no sweet potatoes, and I'm like, are they crazy?
So is it type 2 diabetes that you have?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have to check your blood sugar regularly?
I'm supposed to. Yes. Do I? No.
Kathy.
Well, admit it.
That's not good.
No.
Hey,
But
you're being honest, so we appreciate that. So
it's
why
the
don't
truth.
you? Why don't you? What prevents you from doing that, do you think?
Probably denial.
Mm-hmm. It's
I
easier
just,
to live like you don't have the disease.
yeah.
I can so relate to that because I did that forever with lupus.
Wanting to let the medicine take care of it rather than me taking care of it.
Right. Yeah, because we need medication no matter what the disease is, but it's a small part of it actually. Really.
Right.
Because we have to live differently. I mean, no matter what the disease is, right?
Right.
Well, you know that because you're a nurse. So who am I telling, right? It's got to be hard, though. I mean, diabetes, I think, is probably one of the hardest because you do have to change, like, your entire eating habits. And as Americans, like, we have the worst diet for diabetes.
My brother and sister both did wonderfully in managing their diabetes.
Oh, really?
But I just don't have the willpower, I guess.
Not knowing when my moods are going to change and how fast they're going to change.
Right, and you have no warning. You don't feel anything come on or anything. It just
No, I do
happens.
not. No, I do not.
Right, it makes it so hard. I have mood swings too sometimes, so I can understand how that can be hard. Is it hard, like keeping friends and that kind of stuff? It is for me sometimes.
Yes, it's very hard for me to keep friends with being bipolar.
What kind of help do you wish you had?
I guess I wish I could get some more help with comprehension and processing with people, because sometimes by the time I get to where I'm trying to understand something somebody said and get it processed, they've already went 100 miles on in the conversation, and then they come back like, oh my God, dude, you're not even listening to me or whatever. I know my husband does a lot of times, and it's just hard for me to keep up.
Okay, first of all, I don't have a good psychiatrist. All he talks about is lowering my psychiatric meds from my pain meds because he's afraid I'm going to overdose, which I know, it's frustrating. All he talks about is that. If I have a stomach virus and I'm vomiting, I have to get straight into the emergency room because I could crash, I could die. It's like a diabetic needs their insulin. I need my steroids to reproduce the adrenaline I am not putting out. My adrenal cortex are completely shut down. I produce no adrenaline. Yes.
That can be quite interesting in the you're supposed to be scared or you're supposed to be, does that affect that? Since you don't have
If
the
I'm under
adrenaline to get scared, like if there was a snake
The fight or flight. Yes.
Right.
If I have stress or surgery or I hear bad news, I have to triple my dosage where they give it to me through
Oh,
the IV.
Oh, wow.
wow.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
That's
And you,
interesting.
yeah, it is. Wow. And you said that when you go to the emergency room, sometimes they don't even know how to treat you because they don't know what your disease is. Like, that sounds really dangerous.
Yeah. And they see my bracelet. I have a
Mm-hmm.
bracelet on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do they do for it? Well, what if I can't speak?
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's a good thing you can tell them what to do
Well,
for it.
it sounds like there needs to be some major awareness around that disease. Like, there needs to be, because most diseases, people pretty much know what's going to happen, but if they don't even know at the emergency room, then probably the general public doesn't know anything about it either, and that's really sad.
Definitely.
Mm.
Because I tell them what I have, and I tell them that they have to give me IVs, the steroids through the IV, in addition to the IV, and that I'm allergic to all the anti-emetics. There I go with my jargon. All the medicines except one particular medicine, Zofran.
Oh, uh-huh.
Then that's the only one you can take.
Yes, Kim. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Which complicates things even more because,
Even more.
wow.
When we do have takeout, I wish he wouldn't do fried foods all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I wish he would go places that had salads that I could get. I don't expect him to eat like me, because I know he's not going to.
Right. It is hard though if somebody else is eating the things you love.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because I know me and my husband, like, we're trying to change our diet too. And
Uh-huh.
we can easily side rail each other. Like, if one of us wants something bad, we could easily talk the other into it, you know. So it's kind of like it's really hard if you're not on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like if he was on the same page, that would be really helpful for you. Or if at least you had more options.
And it seems like he should be, he should understand more because he's diabetic too.
Mm-hmm.
But like this, I don't know how he keeps things under control. He likes croissants. So I bought croissants at Albertsons yesterday, a package of 16. He ate 8 of them this morning.
Oh my goodness.
Now, I bought a package of 16 because he was off today, tomorrow, and Sunday
Mm-hmm.
to last him 3 days,
You would think.
you would think.
Wow. Now, how does he keep it under control?
I don't know.
Oh my
The only
goodness.
thing he's on is metformin. I was still, when I was working full time,
Mm-hmm.
for some reason, then it was easy for me to come home and change and fix supper. And now I have a terrible time getting motivated to cook or to get dressed and go out or just about anything.
Do you think that has to do with the depression still, or do you think that's something else entirely?
It may have, because I know that I have been a lot more testy, irritable lately. And whether it's depression or anxiety, I'm not sure. I haven't talked to the doctor about it.
Right.
I find that at times I'm much more short-tempered than I generally am. I get aggravated easier. When I saw that he had eaten half of that package of croissants, about blew my lid. I think the depression right now is situational.
Well,
I
this year
honestly,
has been ridiculous. This year has
yeah,
been hard on so many people. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And between the pandemic and all this political nonsense,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got to where I just flat quit listening to the news.
Which I think is healthy for some people, because you do need to kind of shield yourself once it gets to that point. I had to do the same thing.
Me too. Me
Yeah.
too.
More counseling, more help with my house. With the depression part of the bipolar, I don't take care of my house as well as I wish I could.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Some of your ADLs or activities of daily living kind
Yeah,
of
the
fall behind.
ADLs. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so hard to get help unless you're like really, really sick. You know what I mean? And I think that can be bad because like I know I'm the same way with some ADLs. Like my dishes, oh my God, I don't know what it is. I just can't always I can't always do my dishes. And like I'm just like and then I fall into a major depression when I see the dishes piling up. And then I start feeling like I'm a piece of crap because my dishes are piling up, which doesn't help you do the dishes at all.
The last question that I have for you guys is, what advice would you give to somebody who is new to the disease that you have? And it could be any disease that you want to talk about.
With autism, it's hard to know because it's different, and we're similar in some areas, but different in a lot of ways. And so I thought, well, do all the research you can about it, find out what you can, be patient with others because they're not going to get it. Working hard to do the best you can, and know that it's not your fault that you have this problem. It is genetic mostly, and
Right.
life will be harder for you than most people, but you can make it, you can do it, and you're not alone.
I would actually recommend that someone that got diabetes see a endocrinologist rather
Yeah.
than
Right.
a general practice doctor like I'm doing.
I totally agree with you.
I have never seen an endocrinologist, and I think that an endocrinologist would be stricter
Mm-hmm.
with control, and checking on things and following A1Cs and routine blood sugars than I like my primary care doctor, don't misunderstand, but I think a specialist would be a reasonable idea. I've tried talking to dietitians a couple of times. I know what they're going to tell me,
Right.
you know. So I personally have not found that to be particularly helpful because I already know what they're going to tell me.
Right. The
And
diabetic educators, though, that come with the endocrinologist can bring it to a completely different level. It's not just like dietitian. So I
right.
agree. I totally agree with what you're saying. Yeah.
That's what Elliot used to do.
Oh, really?
Yes, he did that along with his being a pharmacist. Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah. He would follow their diet as well as their sugars, their A1Cs.
Yeah, I really think seeing an endocrinologist is the best idea.
I do too.
Okay, so Anne, what advice would you give?
First of all, you're not alone. There are many other people out there with the same diseases, the same complaints, and no two can always be alike with every single thing. With my one disease, there is a group, but they're all over the country. There's no one close by. Maybe if there's a group you can join that may help you, because someone else you can relate to.
Yeah, I think support is really important.
Support is number one,
Mhm.
because when you don't have support, you're lost, you're drowning.
Okay, and what advice would you give to someone new to your disease?
Ask for help when you need it the most. Definitely go to the doctor and definitely keep up with your medications. Be your own self-advocate. Be an advocate for yourself. Because the doctors aren't going to know how you're feeling unless you don't tell. If you don't tell them how you're feeling, they're not going to know.
Right, because you're right, because mental illness isn't just, it's not something that they can just take a blood level and know how you're feeling. It's not that simple. You have to tell them.
And take your medications. Please take your medications.
It was really great having everyone hear this episode. Such great discussions.
I know. I thought everyone did great, and I really enjoyed it too.
This week's mantra is see the light in each other, be the light for each other.
That's awesome. I love it. We hope you all enjoyed this special episode of Unified. And remember, as always, we are stronger together. See you guys next time.
Mask up and peace out, guys.
Unified through chronic and mental illness can be found at anchor.fm/unified. There you can find all social media links as well as other ways to listen.